contribution ratio. What is it, contribution ratio? Contribution ratio is 1 minus variable cost upon sales price. What is your variable cost? 15. And what is your sales price? 25. What will be the answer to this? Answer will be 40%. Why 40%? Because this within bracket is 60%. If you subtract 60% from 1, you get 40%. When variable cost is divided by sales price, you get 0.6. So 0.4 is what? 0.4 is your contribution ratio. What does the formula say? Formula says fixed cost divided by contribution ratio. Your fixed cost is 50,000. When it is divided by 0.4, you get 1,25,000. So 1,25,000 rupees is your answer of the above data. With the above data, if the firm is able to generate sales revenue of rupees 25,000, 1,25,000, it will break even. If you are asked to verify, can you do that? Whether our calculation is correct? I have given here just one way, that 1,25,000 rupees when divided by 25, that is per unit sales price, it gives you 5,000 units. What will be the total cost of producing 1,25,000 units? What will be the total cost of producing 1,25,000 units? If you have understood the concept of break-even, you should not have taken even a second to answer this. I repeat, what should be the total cost of producing 1,25,000 units?
Sir, it's rupees 1,25,000 rupees and 5,000 units.
Sorry, okay, 1,25,000. I mean, what should be the total cost of producing 5,000 units?
5,000 into 15 plus 50,000. 1,25,000.
I mean, straight away you say 1,25,000, because at break-even point, our total cost is equal to total revenue. How do you verify that? We need to find out units. Units, you have found out 5,000. So 5,000 units, each produced at rupees, how much? 15. It gives you 75,000. 50 is your fixed cost, so 1,25,000. So our answer is correct. In this way, we can verify also. Similarly, you can also calculate break-even using a graph. So you have X and Y axis. Plot your number of units on X and cost and revenue data on Y. Where two curves intersect each other will be your break-even. So try making a graph of this data. You have this data, sales price 25, variable cost 15, fixed cost 50. Use this data, plot a general graph. You have been doing it for quite some time. You will see that both curves, cost and revenue curve, as well as cost and revenue curve, will intersect each other at a value which will be equal to 1,25,000 rupees and 5,000 units. So this is how graphical representation is also possible. Graph offers you several advantages. You can see the loss zone, you can see the profit zone, you can see, I mean, there are several things which you can do. I need not explain to you what are the advantages of showing something using a graph. A lot of decisions can be taken merely on the basis of a perusal of graph. So you can calculate break-even using these three methods. Now I'll explain to you. If you have anything to ask on this stage, go ahead. If not, I'll explain to you what are the various advantages, or rather what are the various managerial uses of break-even analysis. In what different situation break-even analysis helps management take decisions. So briefly, I'll explain 4 or 5 managerial uses. In the books, you will find several. I am explaining you a few one. Once we know how to find out it, I mean, with little bit of effort, rest of it can be done. But in case you face any problem, you ask me, I'll explain to you. So calculation of break-even graphically, that I have left it to you. Managerial uses. First, or one of the managerial uses of break-even analysis is safety margin. So safety margin means firm, by calculating break-even and by looking at its actual sales, it can find out what is the cushion which is available to the firm at present. Safety margin means it can find out to what extent it is safe, what is the level of its comfort. How do we do that? We have a formula. Firm will be selling something, so that will be actual sales. It must have calculated break-even sales to take the difference between the two. Okay, once again, there are requests for admitting people, but nothing is pending with me here. Let me answer them. So safety margin is what? I have tried to explain to you that we have actual sales, we have break-even sales, we take the difference between the two and divide it by actual sales. In order to get the percentage, you multiply it by 100. If we assume some data, suppose in the current example, our break-even sales was 5,000 units, and suppose the firm's actual sales is 6,000 units. So what would be the safety margin? Using the above formula, you find out it will be 16.68%. So what will be the interpretation of 16.67%? The interpretation of 16.67% would be that even if the firm's sales go down by 16.67%, it will still not suffer any loss. So this is the safety margin. What is the safety level? What is the safety cushion? Even if there's a drop in sales from the current level to the extent of 16% or 17%, firm still can afford to avoid losses. Now, because you are taking the difference between these two figures, it could be negative also. Suppose the data is reversed. Your actual sales is 5,000 and break-even sales is 6,000. Again, use the same formula. Your answer will be minus 20%. If it is minus 20%, how do you interpret? I have given you the interpretation of plus 20%, plus 16%. If the answer is in minus, how would you interpret this minus 20%?
The firm is in loss and raise the sale by 20%.
Firm has to raise the sales volume at least by 20% compared to its current level. See, percentage will be with respect to certain amount, certain figure. What is that figure? Current sales. So current sales is 5,000. Company has to raise it at least up to 20% to break even. It can be verified here itself. If 20% is added to 5, what will be the answer?
6,000.
6,000, which is your break-even sales as per the assumption. So one of the uses is managerial uses is safety margin. If this is clear, I'll explain to you the next use, another use of break-even analysis. Or you have any question here? If no, I'll explain to you another use. Change in price, change in cost. In fact, I have written it under one heading. There can be as many as 6 headings of this use. Change in price in upward, change in price in downward. For example, current price earlier you assume was 20 and 25. It can be 30. It can be 20. So you increase the price, you decrease the price. You increase variable cost, you try decreasing variable cost. You try increasing fixed cost, you try decreasing fixed cost. So there may be 6 possibilities of changing the price and cost, wherein the break-even analysis will guide you. Like, should the firm change the price or not? Should the firm increase the price or not? What will be the implication of increasing the price? What will be the implication of decreasing the price? So decisions like this can be taken with the help of break-even analysis. I have illustrated here just one use. What is that use? Assume that the sales price are revised to 30. Means earlier example, base data that we took, sales price were 25. Firm is thinking to change the prices from 25 to 30. Now, natural implication of this would be that the sales will go down. So according to the assessment or survey or whatever market research the firm has conducted, its estimate is that the sales will go down by 20%. Can we assume that firm has increased the sales price, and with the increase in sales price, sales will also go up? Can we assume so, or that assumption will be unrealistic?
We can assume
The
so.
answer? Here we have assumed that the firm has increased the prices from 25 to 30, and it is estimated that sales will go down by 20%. You may think over and discuss later. Now, what will be the situation in the given illustration? What we need to do, we find out current profit in both the scenarios. There are two scenarios. We find out current profit, we find out profitability in both the scenarios, old one as well as existing one. What is the profitability? What was the profit in current level? Current level, you were selling suppose 6,000 rupees. So एक second, find out the current profit. So 6,000 rupees into 25 will be so much. Variable cost will be so much. Profit will be so much. When we change it, I have worked it out. You try, you will find that your calculated profit in the revised situation will be 22. So if the profitability is 10,000 at present, and in the changed scenario it will be 22,000, what decision should a firm take?
Changes should be made.
Should a firm take? Should it change the price or it should not?
It should change.
It should, because the profit is increasing. Can you, if not now because your time will be spent in the class, you may verify whether this calculation is correct or not. Attempt it once the class is over. You will find that the revised profit in the revised scenario will be 22,000. If you don't get this figure, come back to me in the group or somewhere. I'll explain it to you. Now suppose the profit is reduced in the new situation. What should be the decision of firm? The firm should not change the price. Once again, you try another situation. Decrease the price to rupees 22, from 25 to 22, and increase the sales. Expected increase in sales 20%, and see what will be the decision. You need to work out two things. Number one, verify that the calculation is correct. Number two, another example, another question. What will be the question? A firm is currently selling for rupees 25. It desires to reduce the price to 22. Other things remain the same. When the prices are dropped from 25 to 22, sales is likely to go up by 20%. Should the firm decrease the price or not? You will calculate prices at profit at current level, profit at the proposed level, compare the two profit. If the profit has increased, you will go ahead with the change. If the profit is decreasing, you will not change. And if the profit remains unchanged, what do you do? If the profit figure remains the same even after changing the price, what will be your decision? Will you change the price or not?
Then not change the price. Will not change the price.
Agree? Not. Okay. Is there somebody who considers that prices should be changed? When
If
you
the prices,
say it loudly,
if the prices are being reduced, for example, from 25 is going to 22 and there's no change, then we should change the price if even if there's no change in the sales?
If there is no change in the profit.
Yeah, sorry, profit.
See, when you present a case or an analysis to higher management, see, consider the scenario or assume the scenario that you are working for a company and you have been given this task, you have presented your calculation and you are giving a recommendation. Do this or do not do this. This is what is expected from you. So your role will not be over merely by saying do it or don't do it. You will have to justify your answer. You will have to convince the management that my recommendation is based on arguments. Or do you think when you work in the company, merely by saying do this or don't do this at the lower level, maybe in the initial 4 or 5 years, do you think that it will be acceptable to higher management? You need to come up with the answers. You need to come up with the reasons. You need to come up with the reasons. So think over the reasons, and in each case, your answer can be correct. You need to find out what is happening in the market. Apart from increase in sales, apart from decrease in sales, what will be the other implications of changing the price? Are we following the suit? If everybody is changing, we are also changing. If change is likely to increase the sales 20% now, but also in future, the trend may continue. What will be the effect on our image if we decrease the price? Will people conclude that the quality has been decreased? If you have two products which appear to be similar, one is appearing for 1,000, one is being sold for 1,200, which one will you buy?
1,000.
1,000. Okay. If I give you, because most of you have not now come to Aligarh, you are staying at your different place, at your own places, but consider any place where you stay and consider that there are three segments of the city. One, an average place. One, maybe a place where middle class people visit, and maybe another place where wealthy people visit. In the Aligarh context, there may be one somewhere near, let us say, in the civil line area. It could be Dodhpur, it could be Jamalpur, something like that. There could be another area like, Amin Nisha. There could be another area like Marriage Road. From Delhi point of view, maybe some small place, could be, Connaught Place, could be South Extension, etc., etc. Don't you think same thing, perfectly same thing, will be available at each place at different prices? Have you observed this or not?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So what is the phenomenon there? Like this, there will be several things which you will not learn in the accounting class. You will learn in marketing class, business policy class, economics class, and your total knowledge put together. Knowledge does not mean understanding. Sorry, knowledge does not mean memorizing something and giving answers in the classroom. Understanding means application of those concepts in real life situation will help you take a decision and convince your management that it should go by your recommendations. Next, I'll take up. Then you may try decreasing the price, you may try increasing, decreasing cost, various permutation and combination you can try. There is yet another situation in which make or buy decisions, in which break-even analysis helps. One such situation is make or buy. A firm, a manufacturing firm, even a what we call service firm, does lot of operations, does lot of produces several things, or maybe for producing one single product, it requires lot of components. Not all it makes, it purchases also. Take service example, maybe a hospital. It may not employ all the doctors. It may outsource some. It may not buy all the equipments. It may outsource some equipments. Take consulting services. A consultant may employ a few general, experts there in his office, and every time he receives an offer of consulting, providing consultancy, he may engage people from different expertise, from different schools, colleges, universities, field, etc., etc. Same is true with, you think of any product, any service, you will find that there'll be several components, several parts, and each firm may not make. It can outsource, it can buy from the market. So should it buy or should it make? What should it do? In such a situation, break-even analysis helps. Let us illustrate. Suppose that making one unit that company requires for one of its main product costs company rupees 50 as variable cost, and if the company wants to produce it, it needs to incur 50,000 rupees variable cost. Alternatively, the firm can buy this unit instead of making from the market for rupees 25,000. In such a situation, what should it do? Should it buy or should it make? So this is an example wherein make or buy decision can be explained. How would it decide that should it make or should it buy? The simple method for decision is that the firm will calculate the number of units it requires, minimum unit it requires. Below that, it is advisable to buy, and above that, it is advisable to make. So with the given data above, what will be that minimum number of units? Is 5,000. What is 5,000 if you recall? It is nothing but a break-even of the above data. So this is how the break-even analysis can help us. You have reached a particular level. That level suggests you above and below. If the firm needs above 5,000, or let us, in example I have written less, 5,000 or less, it is better to buy. And if it needs more than 5,000 units, it is better to make. You can, in the next slide I have explained it. You can find out it, you can verify it in the next slide I have explained. But here, in case the firm needs exactly 5,000, you may take either of the decision, but with each decision, there must be a valid reason for that. Suppose, this was explained in the class earlier also, suppose the firm needs more or less 5,000 units only. So what would be your preference, making or buying?
Buying.
What would be your preference, make or buy?
Buy.
Say it loudly.
Buying. sir.
Bye.
Buy. Any reason for that?
Make.
Make. Each one of you must have a reason. Once again, as I told just a few minutes before, your management, senior management is asking you, you are saying that my recommendation for you is to make. So naturally, they will ask you, why should we make? Why should we not buy? So you need to give convincing answer. Okay, this is the reason why making is desirable. So what would be those reasons?
So if we are buying, we don't have to put in work for arranging resources, labor.
Okay. One of the reasons is this. What is the second reason?
Less capital
If
investment.
there is any,
We don't need to invest more money.
Or okay. Then
so we should buy, because if there is any defect, then it is not our fault. It is on their side.
buying
We
is.
don't have to.
No, I think you need to adjust your mic and say a bit louder. I can't hear you.
If we buy, then if any defect in the product, then it is not our responsibility. So we have to just order the products and good quality will come.
Okay. What if the supplier delays the supply for some reason and you lose your order? Think of, let us say, a service where a hospital is, availing the services of outside company for the supply of anything. Think of any equipment, any medicine or something, and the supplier for some reason defaults. What will happen in the hospital? It is not making, it is buying, and the supply is disturbed. What will happen? Okay, supply is not getting disturbed, but the quality is not the one that you actually agreed.
We will change the supplier.
At the time you change the supplier, your sales would have already been affected. All right, like
Sir,
this.
I would like to go with making, because if we make the product, we will have the required equipments and the expertise of making the product. So
Okay.
in future, if we again require the product, we require the product, we can make it, and it will make it it will be profitable. We don't.
Okay, it is an argument in favor of making. Okay, there will be several arguments against making. What trend do you observe these days? Making or buying or outsourcing?
Nowadays, outsourcing is done more.
Why is it so? Why is it so? These decisions will require you, as I said before also, studying several courses, several subjects. At country level, decision will be different. At state level, decisions could be different. At very smaller level, decisions can be different. I mean, whatever decision you take in India, if the firm is multinational, the same decision perhaps you will not take even in your neighboring country. You are operating in Asia, so you have India or maybe some, say, our nearby countries. Say you are operating in China, you are operating in India, you are operating in Pakistan, in Sri Lanka, in Bangladesh. At times it is possible that in each country, if in India you have decided to go for buying, in Bangladesh you will go for making. Maybe in Sri Lanka you will once again go for buying. Maybe in Pakistan you will go for making. Maybe in Nepal. So there are several things one need to study. Here the only idea is that by calculating some certain number of units, you come to know of a reference point that becomes your basis for taking decision. So once you go through all those courses, you will be in a better position to decide about this. But here, just a reference point has been made. We go to another.
So I have a question.
Say it again, please, louder.
So I have a question on the argument placed against buying. You said that if the supplier does not provide the goods at the right time, or the quality is not assured, so can't the firm have more than one suppliers?
Yes, it can. It can always. But to each supplier, it places a specific number of orders. Suppose it needs 50,000 unit of a product. One of the option, it borrows from one, or maybe buys from two, buys from three, buys from four. Suppose it is buying from two. So against each, it has placed an order of 25,000. That 25,000 will keep coming in different, installments and all. So if there's a default on one, if he places order from another one, so another one may not produce and supply instantly, because another firm would be geared up providing 25,000 only. So there are several practical issues, and each comes with an advantage and limitation. So we should be clear about what are the advantages associated with the decision, what are the limitations associated with the decision, and then leave it to the management to take a final call. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So that decision, the one that I wrote on the previous slide, try to verify these, whatever is available on this slide. Calculate buying these many, calculate buying these, and see that your calculations, your answers, your recommendations are correct. Okay. Now we discussed another important advantage or managerial use of break-even analysis, that is equipment selection. You may have 2 types of equipment, 3 types of equipment, 4 types of equipments, and you need to take a call which one should you buy. Should it be other than this example, during the time period when there was a huge difference, enough difference between petrol and diesel prices. These days the significant difference is not there, but earlier there used to be a significant difference between the prices per liter of diesel and per liter prices of petrol. So there, in those days, buying a diesel driven car or petrol driven car, one could make a choice. That is an example of equipment selection. You may have any kind of machine, washing machine, production machine, anything, average machine, manual machine, maybe fully automated, semi-automated, highly automated. I mean, there can be several variants or several models of one equipment. Which one should you buy? Depends on, again, the break-even analysis can help you. In this example, I have given 3 models. Highly sophisticated machine, it will cost something and running cost will be something. Average machine, there will be some fixed cost and there will be some variable cost. Manual, which is more or less manual, there will be fixed cost and there will be variable cost. If you look at fixed cost and variable cost, what do you observe? This also, let me make it blank because first one is black, and then second one is revised data. So what do you observe something between fixed and variable cost? What is your observation between the two?
If fixed cost is decreasing, the variable cost is
If fixed cost is more, variable cost is less. When fixed cost is less, variable cost is more. When fixed cost is further less, variable cost is still more. And it happens naturally also. If you buy, say, department purchases highly sophisticated photocopier, wherein you put in the book and it produces you a copy of the book. It binds you also that book. It arranges number of sets, staples them and all. So naturally the machine will be expensive, but per unit copying cost will be very less. Instead, it goes for a semi-automatic machine. Each time you cannot insert more than 1 page. If you need to print both sides, you take it out and print it once again. So machine will be available at a lower cost, but its per unit copying cost will be much more. So it is natural to make such assumptions. Now, which one would you buy, A, B, or C? What will be your preference of buying? The preference or your decision of buying would depend on number of units you require. If these are photocopying machine, then what is your requirement of number of copies? I have written here, a decision would depend on number of units required. How do we find out those number of units? We can simply assume number of units as X and equate A and B. Once you equate A and B, you will get the number of units. For example, in this case, 70x plus 1 lakh. What is 70x? 70x plus 10 lakh is equal to 100x. This is 100. 100x plus 7 lakh. Your X is equal to 10,000. At 10,000, the total cost of units of A and B will be same. So if you need 10,000 units or more, suppose you need 10,000 units or more, which one will be desirable, A or B?
Sophisticated machine.
Sophisticated, because each additional unit you produce, you will be saving rupees 30. And if you need less than 8,000, less than 10,000,
Average machine.
average machine. What do you do now? You assume that you need 8,000 units and buy both the machines. Work out total cost using both the machines. You will find that 8,000 average machine, your cost was less, and 8,000 total cost of this machine was more. When you need 10,000, you have worked out total cost will be equal. When you need 12,000, your total cost here will be less, and here total cost will be more. Now you have a choice in 3 machines. Which one would you go for? How would you decide about this? Okay, for deciding this, you have already compared A and B. You compared B and C. You compare B and C. Similarly, like you have compared A and B. Your answer will be, I have this already calculated, 6,000. So if you need more than 6, which one will you go? Average.
Average machine.
average machine.
If you need less than 6,
Manual machine.
manual. So why I have not compared A and C? I have compared B and C. I have not compared A and B. Why not?
Because in A and B, we go for
Because the information of A was already factored in when I compared it with B. So So you may like this, take a decision between two, amongst two, amongst three, among 4, 5, any number of options. A decision can be taken. So this was a decision related to equipment selection. Whatever I am asking you to practice on, do that. You will be able to learn it. Another use of break-even analysis could be if you wish to drop one of the product that you are manufacturing, you wish to replace it with one of the products, or you wish to add, drop, or replace. So here also break-even analysis helps you. In such a situation, you need to learn totally new concept, that is the calculation of break-even, where the firm is producing and selling more than one product. Until now, what we have done? Variable cost and selling price of only one component of one unit. Here, the firm is making product X and product Y. For each sales price and variable cost is given, and fixed cost is common. Total fixed cost of making X and Y is 1 lakh. So first of all, we should know how to calculate the break-even when more than one product is involved. Then only the replacement, addition, or drop, etc. can be taken up. As a first step, we should learn how to calculate the break-even when more than one product is involved. There are concepts like sales mix. There's a concept like contribution ratio. Can you recall contribution ratio? You have already learned. Third concept, composite contribution ratio. These three terms, of which you already know one term, that is contribution ratio. I'll explain to you these two and calculation becomes easier. Now sales mix, very simple. The proportion in which you are selling X and Y. What is the proportion? What is the sales mix? 40-60 or 2:3. The firm is selling these units in 40% ratio and 60%. Company is selling both the products. If it sells for rupees 100, 40 comes from X, 60 comes from Y. If it sells for 1000 rupees, 400 should come from X, 600 should come from Y. Is this clear?
Yes, sir.
Is it based on certain assumptions, or I am saying it for the first time?
Yes, sir. It is based on an assumption of break-even point.
What is that?
That's a sales mix always remains constant.
Sales mix always remains constant. Correct. You're right. So sales mix I have given. Contribution. What is the contribution of X? Contribution of X will simply be 30 divided 40. What is this percentage? 1 minus 30 divided by 40. So it is 25%. 0.25 or 25%. Similarly for Y also it is 25%. What is sales mix? 0.4 and 0.6. So once you have worked out these two, work out 3. What is the composite contribution ratio? Composite contribution ratio is equal to multiplication of these two plus multiplication of these two. That is, if you multiply sales mix by contribution ratio of respective products and add them, I'll repeat, if you multiply sales mix of each product with its contribution ratio and add the two, you get composite contribution ratio. I have illustrated 0.4 times 0.25 plus 0.6 times 0.25, it gives you 0.25. So 0.25 is composite contribution ratio. So your 90% problem is solved. Divide fixed cost by composite contribution ratio, your answer is break-even. Following the same steps, we have worked out break-even for the proposal. This is proposal, this is existing. In case of proposal is accepted, your break-even is increased by 31,000 rupees, 31,655. So we work out current break-even, we work out break-even in proposed situation, and if the break-even is increasing, the decision should be no. If the break-even is decreasing, the decision could be yes. So this is how, this was an example of replacing product Y with product Z, replacement decision. You can have drop decision. You can have add decision. If there are 4 or 5 products and you want to drop one, it will help you. You have 3 products, you want to add 4th. Calculate existing one and proposed one, and accordingly take a decision. Any question up to this place? Do you have any question at this stage?
So if you want to drop any product,
Sorry?
sir, if you want to make a drop decision,
Correct.
so the product with the more break even will be dropped.
See, in this case, you don't calculate product-wise break-even. You are calculating break-even as a whole. Have we calculated product break-even?
No, sir.
What I can guess from your question is, you mean to say a product which is giving more margin should not be dropped, and a product which gives lesser margin should be dropped. In this case, which one is giving lesser margin? It is 25%, it is 25%, it is 25%, it is 30%. So Z is the most profitable one when it comes to margin. But we need to work out break even only and then take a decision. Any other question? If you don't have any other question, this I have just given you an explanation only. Add and drop decision, same thing. So you need to work out all these things, and if the calculations are correct, okay. If not, you seek a clarification from me. But tomorrow I'll take up the standard costing part, and maybe tomorrow and day after perhaps we will spend on a standard costing, maybe a day or two, and it will be a completion of revision. Then again I'll be open to question. You can post me questions through WhatsApp group. I'll be able to answer you. If you have a question, you ask me. If not, we can close the meeting. If there are questions, please ask me. Are there questions?
Sir,
Yes, please.
currently the variable cost is 45 of product.
Give me a second. Let me just note down something. I'll come back to the slide. Yes, now tell me. I'm looking at this slide. Yes,
Sir, variable cost is 45 of product Y.
45.
Of
Correct.
product, yes, sir. And of product Z, it is lesser by 10 rupees. But
Okay.
how, sir, fixed cost is more of product Z? Sir, are
Fixed
they
cost-
don't?
Listen. Fixed cost is not of a product Z. Fixed cost is combined fixed cost of X and Z. 1 lakh is the combined fixed cost of X and Y. 1 lakh is combined fixed cost of X and Y. 1,20,000 is combined total fixed cost of X and Z. See, what do you include? I'll explain to you with the help of some example. What do you include in the fixed cost? Give me some common example. A very common example could be rent of the building, rent of the factory, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
It is common. You are making product under one roof. You are paying salary of chief manager, general manager. So he supervises X. He is also supervising Z. You are paying salary of the chowkidar, of the security guard. So he is standing outside. Whether you make X or Y or Z, he is not bothered. So there are several things that you include in fixed costs which are common for both the products.
So why it is increasing on replacement? Why it is increasing the fixed
Which
cost?
one?
Fixed cost of
Fixed cost. Okay. Correct. There is another answer for this. You are making X and Y products. Now you are dropping instead of Y. You are producing Z. So naturally, if it is a different product, it will be a different product, even if there is slight difference. So for a different product, certain expenses, certain additional expenses will be required. And the expenses which you have already incurred in making X, those expenses will be your sunk cost. Therefore, some additional fixed cost will be required.
Okay.
Same example can be given in case of services. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Any more questions? If not, then you may kindly leave the meeting. We'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.